Hey everybody, how you doing today? Happy Thursday. Hope you're doing all right. Oh, I forgot I didn't turn that up high enough. All right, that should be okay. So thanks to our friend Shaping the Silence for the music. He also streams on Twitch, although I haven't seen him lately. But he used to stream his like music design stuff, which was really fun. So yeah, hopefully you're all here for web systems development in PHP and Java Thursday nights. Apologies for the change in plans here, but I think all of you got the memo because they did ask me to come to campus in case anyone didn't get the memo. So I'm here on campus, but literally no one else is in the room, and that's okay. That's fine. We'll save you folks all a drive. I know remote learning's not quite ideal. Not it's got its own issues, but we're going to do our best to get through it this semester and get as much out of it as we can. And I think with the right tools and things, it goes relatively well. So you found me here on Twitch. Fantastic. I'm not a fan of Zoom. Generally on Zoom, I find we get a bunch of black boxes and everyone's silent anyway. So the one downside of Twitch, well, I guess two downsides of Twitch. One is it's only text-based chat. So if you'd like to participate, ask questions, it's got to be through text. We do have options for that, so I can do this sort of thing. Oh, in Farrell, I'm like here today. I'm sorry. So you could have stayed. I thought I mentioned I'll be there the first day, but maybe I didn't actually include that in the message here. So hopefully you didn't make the drive for nothing. Apologize for that. No, it doesn't say that, does it? Shoot. Okay, this was like a copy paste thing from our provost. So my apologies, but hopefully no surprises. So yeah, Twitch has text-based chat. Oh, and we can ban these spammers here, which is fun. Usually it's not too bad. Don't get into a lot of issues. So if you'd like to chat over voice, we can talk about hopping on the Discord server, and I'll talk all about that in a little bit, and then you can talk to me that way. I've been offering that for 4 semesters now. 5. Holy cow! I can't even count. Like 5 semesters, and I've yet to have anyone do it. But still an option for you. Happy to do that if it's like nice Taco Bell. I got Arby's on the way in, but I drank all of my Diet Coke already. I had to get another one here. So given I'm the only one here on campus, I'm gonna shut the door and then I'll just lock myself in here. I'll take this guy off if you don't mind. I'm the only one in the room. I think that'll be okay. If anyone does show up, I've got it handy. So it'll be just a little bit easier here, and then you can see my double chin. I hate this camera angle. It's not flattering. I need the one that's like pointed up here, right? Like that selfie style. So let me take a couple minutes here. I want to go over the highlights of the syllabus. I'm not going to read it to you. I do know you folks are adults who know how to read. And wow, 3 people have already taken the syllabus quiz. So congratulations, you are ahead of the game here. Hopefully you probably already had me for another class then, and a lot of that stuff is pretty obvious. So let's take a look at the syllabus, and we'll go from there. All right. This is me. I'm the only Eric Chinesky in the world, so I'm pretty easy to Google. You can go find me on Rate My Professor, other sites, check all that stuff out, find my LinkedIn profile, that sort of thing, if you're curious about my background. This is my college email address. It does come to my phone, so feel free to email me. Usually you get a pretty quick response over email. If you prefer text messaging or good old-fashioned phone calls, this is my cell phone. I do have a phone number here on campus in my campus office, but I don't use that office. I hold office hours remotely anyway because it's a small room and I'm assuming poorly ventilated because this campus is relatively old. And we'll just be remote for everything this semester. But feel free to call or text. This cell number here is mine. Really anytime between 8 and midnight or so. I'm usually up and around and doing stuff. I have 6 kids at home. I teach a bunch of classes and I keep rather busy. So if I don't answer, please leave me a message. Let me know what time is good to call you back. And I'm happy to do that if possible. If I'm totally tied up, obviously I can't immediately, but I'll do what I can to get back to you as soon as possible. But do let me know what time is good. Usually I'm up late. The house isn't quiet until all the kids are in bed after 9, 9:30, like 10ish lately, because I've got some teenagers now. But I called somebody back. They're like, hey, call me right away. It's important, yada, yada, yada. I called back at like 11 p.m. and they were really upset with me because they had to get up at 6 a.m. or be at work at 6 a.m. So they were going to be up at like 4:30 or 5 or some sort of nonsense like that. which sounds terrible. I am not a morning person, if you haven't guessed that already based on my schedule. So let me know. Oh, this is the old version. Shoot, I need to update this. One sec. This has my old office hours. I just on Friday, I guess a week ago now, on Friday, picked up a Monday afternoon class to help the department out. We couldn't find an adjunct instructor. The one who usually teaches it wasn't available. Good for them. They were too busy with their day job. So that was good. We got plenty of work to do. They didn't need to come teach here, but we do like when they teach. They do a really good job with that class. But so Monday afternoon is no good. So new version here. Let's see if that loads. Here, I'll go for the Word doc because sometimes it takes a minute to render. So Monday I have a morning class and an afternoon class. So 12 to 1 in between. I'm going to try to hold some office hours if folks can make it then. And then Wednesday afternoon, I'm pretty much open. So 12 to 5, so my class ends a little bit before 12 and up through 5 or so. Scheduling office hour appointments for people. Drop on in, we can chat. If you have questions about assignments, questions about the class, just want to talk general tech. I really like to nerd out with people and talk about things that are happening in the industry and the field. So always happy to talk with you. If these 2 days don't work for you, which I get because a lot of people are busy and they're daytime hours, feel free to try and make an appointment with me for other times. I can't promise I can make it, but I'll do my best to accommodate. So if you do send me a request to meet off hours here, give me like 3 or 4 different times that work for you, and I'll see if one of them fits into my schedule. So Tuesday I've got 4 classes, Thursday I've got 4 classes, Monday 2 classes, Wednesday only 1. I'm open a lot of Fridays. Tends to be because we don't have classes often on Friday. Friday becomes meeting day, so I'm usually booked up and it's hard to like put a block of time out here to say I'll be free. And then on weekends, I try not to meet with people on the weekends if I can help it. But I know sometimes that's the only time you folks are available. So after the kids are in bed, after 9 or 10 p.m. or so, I can meet with folks if you need to. So let me know. I prefer Discord for office hours, but happy to hop on Zoom as well. Something about Zoom bothers me, and I guess that's probably silly. But I like Discord. This is my Discord server that I host. I've got all my classes shared on the server here, and a couple people actually stick around after the fact, which is kind of fun. So I've got fun channels, I've got class channels, career info channels, and I'm hoping it can build up some sort of community here. And maybe you'll stick around and help recommend jobs for people or places that are good internships or bad internships, or even if you just had funny memes to post or pictures of your pets. I always love pictures of your pets too. Got all sorts of channels for that. If you've never used Discord before, it's pretty quick. It's just a chat program. And I find it does help if you have questions about things. If you post them in the class channel, other people probably have questions about those same things. So they'll see your question, they'll see my answer, and then life is good. Just kind of like if we're in person here and someone shouted in class to ask a question, everyone would hear the question and the answer. I don't know if it's security issues in Infernal. It just people in Feral, people set it up too open to start, and so we've since locked it down and figured out it's probably bad to just let people punch in a 10-digit number and show up. So almost every Zoom session now either has a waiting room where you have to put in your name and you get admitted, or a password that you need to get in. And then we've turned off the default anyone can screen share anything to avoid all sorts of people doing inappropriate things, which I don't ever know why those were defaults. I guess makes sense to make it easy, but that's a bad default to have. Yeah, I think it was. One click, you don't have to do any settings. You just get in and hit the share button. So yeah, it's not a bad program. I've not had good experiences using it for school, and then it honestly actually broke my laptop on Monday, and I was super upset that it messed up my laptop. I had to reload my drivers. I actually updated Windows to Windows 11 while I was at it because since I had to reload everything, might as well. But it broke some stuff, and I was sad. So I have a Surface Book, and it has 2 different graphics cards. It has the onboard Intel graphics card, and then it has the actual NVIDIA graphics card in the base. And when you share your screen, the screen itself is generally managed by the onboard Intel graphics card and not the NVIDIA graphics card in the base. and it was like trying to share the screen using the graphics card, and then it would freak out and stop and relaunch and or retry, and then it would use the other one, and it was trying to be smart about it, and it just stopped, and it killed my external display port. It broke some drivers, and I was pretty sad. My camera wouldn't work. It's been a rough week for starter classes, but I got it all figured out. I think it's relatively stable again, which is a little bit of a bummer, to be honest, because this computer is about 2.5 years old, and I was hoping for a good excuse to have to buy a new laptop. So, maybe this one will just have an unfortunate accident, and I'll have to get a new one anyway. So our class here, we meet Thursdays. The official meeting time is 6 to 9:45 p.m. For a couple reasons. One is it's a 4-credit class, so we meet for almost 4 hours a week. You get to take off like 5 minutes after every additional hour or something, and it still counts as 4 credit hours. I don't understand how that works, but it's been like that forever in college, best I can tell. But it is a lab-based class. Generally, we teach this in a computer lab, so you have computers in front of you to try the things that we're doing in class. So my general goal is to talk for no more than the first half of class. Any more than that, even honestly, I start getting bored of hearing my own voice. So generally, I'll try and go up till about 8 or so. Some nights a little longer, some nights a little shorter. Just kind of depends on what's up for the week. And then after that, it's your time to practice the things that we've just talked about. Your time to work on the projects and the assignments and the things you have to do. Ideally, we were in person and I could actually walk around and help you. So virtually, that's another reason Discord's really great. It's got some built-in screen sharing tools. We can just hop on and screen share a little bit more privately, because if you're working on assignments and you're like, hey, can you take a look at my code? We don't want to do a Zoom screen share where everyone in the class can see it anyway, because, that's probably less than ideal at that point. So Discord's great, or I can just do individual one-on-one Zoom sessions with people, and I can pop on, we can do some chat, and I can see your screen, and it's pretty close to what we would get in person. It's a little bit more awkward because I have to manage the line of who has questions, but honestly, I would just use the whiteboard in here and you put your name up if you want me to come wander around if there's more than one person raising their hand. So it's worked out relatively well. I think we've made do throughout the pandemic, and hopefully we're not missing much. And then as the benefit of this, it is winter here in Michigan, and occasionally it does snow and the roads are crap and no one else wants to drive out to Farmington Hills for class. So hopefully we get to save a little bit of that driving time. We're close to what we get with the tools, and I'll show you we've got some tools we can use. So if you aren't able to install all of these tools on your personal computer, you can use the college virtual machines that you can connect to, which are actually pretty decent. They're ever so slightly slow, but aside from that, everything's loaded, ready to go. It works out really well for you. So Twitch is a public service, or a public platform. So please feel free to use whatever handle you would like to use. It does not need to include your name. And I will export all these Twitch recordings, Twitch sessions, out to YouTube. And you are welcome to watch the classes asynchronously if the synchronous viewing and chat is not your thing. Whatever works better for you. So the problem with Twitch is it only keeps it for about 45 days, and then it will remove the export. So it's not really a video storage platform like YouTube is. Twitch was really meant more for a live sort of thing here, and that's what we do. Someone walked by the room, but they did not come in. Okay, I heard footsteps. That's all right. It's really weird. There's almost no one on campus, which is just kind of weird, but that's okay. So my YouTube channel out here, go ahead, check that out if you'd like to watch the recordings after, and I'll post all the links in Desire to Learn for you as well to make it easy to find. The other downside of Twitch is occasionally you do get an ad. Seems to be, says I don't usually run much more than 2 hours or so. The only ad you should see, hopefully, is the first ad when you first show up at the channel for the first 30 seconds. At 6 o'clock or so, I always run music for the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes or so. Usually I'm on by 6:05 to give anybody who shows up at that time a chance to let the ad run and go through. The positive part of that is that ads do actually add up to revenue at some point, and Twitch mails me a check. It's happened one time so far, because people can also cheer bits and they can subscribe to the channel. You get one free subscription per month on Twitch if you have Amazon Prime, and all that sort of stuff. Please don't think I'm double dipping. I don't keep the money at all. All of it gets donated over to the Student Scholarship Fund at the University of Michigan Dearborn College of Engineering and Computer Science, where I'm both a student and a lecturer. It's kind of cool. So I'm currently in the doctoral program over there in their Doctor of Engineering in Automotive Systems and Mobility. I'm technically on hold for a little while. I got some family medical issues I'm dealing with, but hope to get back to that come fall and then keep working on my doctorate. So we'll see. Should be fun, but yeah, any money Twitch does send me does get donated, so please don't think I'm trying to double dip or anything here. I also think it's kind of cool that this is a public platform, and anybody who's interested in learning can hop on and learn with us. If people are getting real off topic, I'm happy to ban them. I don't want it to be disruptive for you at all, but I've had a couple people occasionally drop in and they ask, on-topic questions, and that's great. I've been doing this for 15 plus years now as a software engineer. Been teaching for 10, and occasionally there's things that I kind of gloss over or don't go very deep on, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. So if you have questions, someone else probably has the same questions. So I always like when people ask questions in class. It works out pretty well. Here, sorry. I'm also a type 1 diabetic, so I have this cool insulin pump here that's hooked up to me. I'm actually part cyborg, believe it or not, and it tracks, a different piece tracks my blood sugar. This thing gives me insulin so I don't die, and it works out pretty well, but it beeps, and I actually can't turn it off as like a medical safety thing. There is no way to turn off all the beeps, which is a little bit annoying. Like when I go to movies and stuff, people give me dirty looks, but I haven't actually been out to a movie in a while, so that's not too bad. All right, the course catalog description. This was a copy paste from the course catalog. Shouldn't be any surprises here. The prereqs. You should have taken at least one programming class in Java. PHP will start from scratch with the JSP or Java side of things. We assume you have a good working knowledge of Java here, and we'll go from there. So either the 1500, our Intro to Programming course, or Object-Oriented Programming in Java are traditionally our second Java course. In terms of some outcomes, critical thinking is a big one here in our software engineering program. Learning how to solve problems and think about ways that we can apply the tools and techniques that we've learned to solve problems is huge. This is one of the things we focus on. And then anytime you take this 2454 course, no matter who teaches it, which is a little bit silly here and there because I'm the only one who teaches it every semester, but if someone else were to do it, we would also assess these exact same outcomes here. And we, as part of our accreditation process, have to look and make sure students are successful at these sort of things, or at least a percentage of students are successful. There's a little bit of wiggle room. They don't assume 100% of people pass everything, which is a little bit sad, but that's kind of what it is. And some people just have bad days on assignments. So we'll talk about web service requests, the overall architecture, web applications, all these sorts of things. The model view controller design. We'll talk about web form data, using lists and tables, talk about Java servlets and server pages within the MVC design model, our Java web application that uses expression language and the JSP standard tag library. Excuse me. It's been super dry this winter. I just need to be drinking all the time. Talking for hours and hours and hours a day dries my throat out. And Tuesdays and Thursdays are rough. I kind of scheduled it badly. It's my own fault. I have 4 classes on Tuesday, 3 and possibly a seminar on Thursdays. Monday's a little better with 2, and then Wednesday's just the 1 class, which is nice. So usually I'm always drinking stuff. Typically I have coffee, but there is no, there is a coffee pot, but it was far away, and I didn't want to start a whole pot of coffee, and Coke is just nice and easy. So, but I do drink coffee or some sort of caffeinated beverage all the time. So I've got this fun little emote here, which is the jitter coffee one. You drink enough coffee, you get the jitters. This one was kind of fun. So if I am talking too fast, just shout at me, and I'll slow down. Tell me, pause for a second. Happy to go over things again. I'm very informal, so usually I'm paying attention to chat. I've got it up on a second screen almost all the time. If I forget to get it on the second screen, I've got it on my phone, but I've got the second monitor right here for that right now. Excuse me. So I can pause anytime you want me to go over something again. Another thing, managing session data, cookies, relational database for basic transactions. Read, update, insert. There should be a comma there. for delete, not insert delete, insert comma delete. So if you haven't taken a database course before, which is our CIS 1200, is the Intro to Database Systems class, we'll do essentially an entire day or entire class session on relational database management systems. I've taught the CIS 1200 course before. I love databases. They're really cool things. And basically everything in the world nowadays runs off of a database. But it's not a prereq because you don't necessarily need everything, and we like to try and not put lots of prereqs around so that classes are more accessible. So I'll basically summarize a 15-week course for you in one class session. And then I'm going to be here to help with anything database related for you. I'm happy to help out on those sorts of things, because what we're focusing on is the web server technology sort of things. So I'm happy to help with any database stuff that you need. Code that sends email messages. There's a library that does this. We don't actually send email messages, because you have to plug in a password, and I've not found out a good way to do that publicly yet. But I'll show you how. It's super easy. You can just make your own account, plug in your own password when you're not screen sharing with the World Wide Web, and go from there. And then we'll look at a little bit of client-side technologies with some JavaScript, and we'll look at some AJAX requests, which are really fun, asynchronous JavaScript requests, and then add some basic web application authentication and security. Security is actually really difficult. So we'll look at a couple basic things here, and some other best practices are nice, but we don't really have the time to get into them as well. So we'll do a basic version ourselves. And that's it for the objectives. Okay, so we have two books because we do two different languages. We do PHP for the first half, and then we do JSP and Java servlets for the second half. So both Murok. So we kind of go a little faster through the second book, since it also covers a couple of the basics like this first book does. I'm sorry, the PHP book does. You can get them from the bookstore, you can get them online, you can get ebooks, wherever you want to find these things. Murok is generally less expensive than other publishers, so we're fans of them, and they seem to do a pretty decent job with their stuff. Some other materials, other tools we're going to use. We're going to use GitHub. GitHub is a hosting provider of the Git source control tool. They're actually owned by Microsoft now, and they give away their services for free for educational use, which is fantastic. I'm a big fan of that. But the Git source control tool itself is by and far the most popular source control tool out in the industry. GitHub happens to be one of the cloud service providers that lets you use Git, and they manage all that central repository stuff on their services. We'll talk more about that today. We're going to use the GitHub desktop client. I'm fond of this because the desktop client will be the same for you no matter what language, what tool, whatever you use. You can always use the GitHub desktop client if you're working with GitHub. The link for Discord again, for office hours, any general chat questions, that sort of thing. When we get to Java JSP, we're going to use the Open JDK because using the Oracle licensed version is, it's not difficult or obnoxious or anything, but we tend to be a little bit upset that Oracle went and tried to license Java after it was always traditionally been an open source language. So the open implementation of Java is the one we're going to use, because I think that's more the tradition of Java. It's like 2 extra steps to use. It's not terrible, I promise, and I'll walk you through it. I'm going to be using NetBeans in the class as our integrated development environment. I think someone had already chatted actually in Discord. You're welcome to use any IDE you'd like, but I'm going to show you NetBeans. Everything I will do will be in NetBeans. If you use something other than NetBeans, you're on your own for that tool, right? Because that's not the focus of what we're doing in class. I'm familiar with several IDEs, but I definitely won't claim all of them. So just let me know if you have any trouble, but we should be fine. It's not the best tool in the world. It's definitely not the worst tool in the world, but it's a little bit finicky every now and then. And then we're going to use XAMPP for all of the other tools here. XAMPP is fantastic. It's like a one-stop shop download for getting PHP, for getting Apache, which is a web server, for getting MySQL, the database engine, and something else. Visual Studio Code. Okay, in Feral, I haven't tried debugging in code for PHP or JSP yet. I know the editor itself is great. I love using code, but I've not used it much for debugging. And I think that's the big strength of NetBeans, is being able to debug stuff. But if you find some ways, that's fantastic. And again, I mentioned if you don't want to install all of these things on your computer or you aren't able to, you can connect to the college virtual machines through this link here. No matter what your operating system is, you can get to the virtual desktop on Mac, on Linux, on Windows. There is a web browser version. We don't typically recommend that one because IT said it's not as stable, a little bit laggier, but we got some options. The only thing that's not on the virtual desktops is the GitHub desktop client. But that's actually like an individual user level install. It's not something you'd put on the computer that for shared use because each individual person needs to be set up with their account and stuff. So it's a super quick download and install. It takes, maybe it'll add an extra minute to using the virtual desktops. It's not terrible. And then it helps us get stuff saved out in the cloud anyway, and you don't have to deal with flash drives or transferring files around or any of that nonsense because the virtual desktops do erase everything every time you log out. So they won't keep anything for you. The good news is we're going to sync with the GitHub repository in the cloud, so all of your stuff will always be saved out in the cloud, and then you just would start fresh, pull down the fresh copy of it, and be back up and running, if you want to go that route. Again, either one's okay. And I'll show you how to use all those tools today, or at least we'll do XAMPP and NetBeans today for the installation. We'll come back to the OpenJDK when we switch over to Java and JSP later. Okay, other specific policies here. This one is a particular pet peeve of mine, plagiarism and cheating. So individual instructors get to pick the consequence of engaging in academic dishonesty for their course. For me, it's an immediate failure of the entire course. You are done if you cheat. I feel very strongly that cheaters should not get degrees because it devalues the degree for everyone else. If you cheat your way through school and then get a job, and they say, oh, okay, you went to OCC, you did the software engineering program, you probably know what you're doing, and you suck at your job because you cheated your way through school and you don't know how to do anything, they're not going to want to hire anyone else from OCC with that degree. They're going to think we did just a bad job teaching you rather than, oh, you just cheated your way through. So that being said, if you're unsure if something's academic dishonesty, please ask me. I am happy to talk to you, to look at things and tell you, yes, this is good, no, that's bad, that sort of thing. And also, under no circumstances may chegg.com be used. Don't post questions there. Don't cite answers posted there. Any use of Chegg or similar websites like Course Hero is considered academic misconduct. Just stay away from them. They are awful, terrible people. I hope they go out of business. They're currently being sued. I'm very excited about it. Although they're being sued by Pearson, who's also kind of crappy. But you know, we can't have everything in the world, I suppose. So Chegg is just awful. So yeah, don't post things there. So most often what comes up as academic dishonesty, and this is the quote from your student handbook, is typically it's plagiarism when it comes to programming classes. Presenting someone else's ideas, data, words, images, or products without giving credit to the originator. Just like an English paper. If it's not your words, you have to cite your source. If it's not your original thought, cite your source. Okay? That being said, I know there are websites like Stack Overflow that have all sorts of great places, great resources. Citing your source is fine, but just like an English paper, you're not going to copy paste 5 pages worth of quotes and turn them in with your name on it and say, here's my paper, with none of your own work. So what you can do is you can take pieces and parts of things, piece them together with your original work, giving credit to the originator where it's not your original work, and we're fine. So happy to look at things with you if you're not sure exactly what that means. But typically, if you're going to take like one method, one little snippet of code, that's great. I don't care. That's fine. But you're citing your source. You're saying, okay, hey, this isn't mine. I got it from here, but it's just one small piece of the overall solution. That's okay. That's not plagiarism. Plagiarism is turning something in, presenting it as your own, and not crediting the originator. Okay? Other things that come up, especially on like the Course Hero site, is acquisition of tests or other academic material, distribution of the same. Don't publish the tests and quizzes places, right? Don't go out and don't go out and acquire them from other places, right? Do your own work on the tests and quizzes. And then if one of your classmates says, hey, can I see yours? I just want to, see how you did it. Tell them to go get lost. Because if you aid and abet, if you show someone else your code and they copy it, you're both now guilty of academic misconduct. And that's a bad day for everybody. It's a particular pet peeve of mine. It is a lot of paperwork I have to fill out to fail people. Like, it's an irritating amount of paperwork that I have to do and send to the dean's office. And last I heard, I keep meaning to double check with the dean. Next time I talk with them, I'll double check. But I believe OCC has a 3-strike policy. So after 3 occurrences of academic dishonesty, and the Dean's Office track this college-wide, you will no longer be welcome to be a student here. So we do take this very seriously as well. You should not cheat and get a degree. Right? You need to be doing the work, ideally, so you're learning the things. Right? That's kind of the purpose. Like you practice something to get better at it. And if you're not doing the thing, you're not going to get better at it. You're not going to know what you're doing. Okay. Copy paste from the student code of conduct. Again, this is not very applicable, but sure. Make sure you keep the classroom corridors quiet. I don't know. All right, the part everyone seems to care about here is the grading policy. So this is how you earn your overall grade in the course. Now, I use a weighted system, and this is confusing for some people, so I try and explain it well, and generally it goes okay, but some people are still not really sure, so let me know if it doesn't make sense. So out of all of the lab assignments you get, your score on that labs category will make up 10% of your overall final score in the class. So if you get 90% of the points on labs, you'll get 9 out of these 10% in the overall 100% of your score. Right? So just because a lab is worth 10 points and a project is worth 10 points does not mean they have the same overall impact to your final score. Right? The category itself makes up this percentage, makes up this percentage, makes up this percentage. Okay? So every week we're going to have lab exercises to do, starting this week. This is your chance to just practice the things we've talked about. It's not a large assignment. It shouldn't take very long. Generally, if we were in person, you'd be able to do it before you walk out the door. Again, my goal is to stop around 8 o'clock or so. I don't like to talk for more than half a class because I get bored too. And then you want a chance to actually try the things out. Okay. We'll have individual projects throughout the semester. The plan is for 4 individual projects. Let me double check. I think I got 4 in here, right? Yeah, 4 individual projects. That's what I thought. I always got to go back to the notes and see. That'll make up 30% of your overall score. You'll have 2 weeks for every project, right? So if you plan ahead and start on time and don't wait until the last minute, these should also be 100% everyone gets the points. Because if it's not working for you, you have time to ask me or schedule some time with one of our tutors, that sort of thing, which we'll talk about in a little bit, right? The goal is everyone gets these done. This is the larger assignment that says, hey, we've talked about this idea, this concept, this tool, this technique. Now, here's a problem to solve using that tool, using that technique, using that, so this way to solve a problem, right? We also have quizzes not every chapter, but every week. With the chapters that we've covered, I'm going to post a quiz. And I'll be honest, these are test bank questions. The goal here is to get you actually reading the textbook, or at least into the textbook enough to go find your answers. The quizzes are open book, open notes, open internet, untimed, except for the fact they have a due date. So I'll open them up at the end of the class, and you'll have until the next class to turn them in. So you've got all week to work on them. They're not like, hey, once you click start, you only have so many minutes to finish. They're open all week. Start it, come back to it, open it, close it, whenever you want. As long as you get it in by the due date, we're cool. Hopefully these are free points as well, because you can go find the answers in the textbook, because the questions come out of the textbook test banks. Or the test banks come out of the textbook. Yeah, I think that's the right direction. So 10% of your grade comes from the quizzes there. I will drop the lowest quiz. So like if you just have a bad week, or if you just forget and miss one, that sort of thing, it won't impact you too much. I'll try and drop the lowest one for you there. We'll have 1 exam in the class, just a single midterm exam. That one's coming up, I believe, week 7. I'll take a look at the schedule in a minute. It's only worth 10%. I try to make this as low as possible, because I think exams are not necessarily a great way of measuring if you can do something. As you'll notice, the stuff that you're going to do yourself, the coding, the labs, the projects, and the final project, make up the bulk of your score. Marv, I haven't seen the table of contents for the 2nd edition. If you want to post it in the Discord or send me a message with it, I can kind of take a look and see topic for topic, chapter for chapter, see how well it lines up. I think it'll probably be okay, but I want to double check that and see how well it has the same topics. I mean, not much has changed, so I think it'll be okay. But yeah, let me look and see. So the midterm, again, is open book, open notes, open internet. As a professional software engineer, I've never once had someone tell me, hey, please do this thing, but by the way, don't use any resources. Don't look anything up. You have to do it off the top of your head. That's a terrible way to see if anyone can accomplish a task. So it's open book, open notes, open internet. You don't need to memorize anything. Just know where to go look things up. Right? Know where to find your resources. Half of the test will be literally questions from the quizzes, and the other half will be short little programming snippets. The it was designed, and I'm keeping it that way, so that you could finish it in a single class period, as if we were meeting in person, and if you had just this 4-hour chunk of time to do it, it's designed you can get it done that way. Because you have more time doesn't mean I'm going to make it longer. So I don't want it to be like that. So it's small, short, and sweet. I will give you last semester's midterm as a practice midterm, so you can see exactly what those questions look like when it comes to those the coding long answer questions, like the test bank questions. You'll have been practicing them for weeks already. You should be fine. And then the last thing we do, the last month of class, literally the last month, is the final project. It makes up 40% of your overall score. This is the largest portion of your score here. Without this, you can't pass the class, right? Down to this grading scale, you can't even get a D without the final project. And that's intentional, right? This is kind of the capstone. We're going to put everything together that we've learned and have one final deliverable, one large project that we've gone through and done. And it should be a lot of fun. So I've been using the same final project over and over because I think it's a really good one. And I've only once had somebody try and pawn off a solution they found online as their own. And I called them out on it, and they're like, what do you mean? Of course I wrote all this myself. And I'm like, no, you didn't. It's full of JavaScript and cascading style sheets and all sorts of other things that no one includes if you build it yourself, because we just don't have time for that nonsense. So again, most everyone does very well on this. We've got lots of time to work on it. We have time set aside in class for me to meet with you during regular class time in the last week before, and generally goes pretty well. I'm actually thrilled if people get 100% on this. Almost everyone does get 100% on it because we've got the time. As long as you start and get working on it, you should be successful on it. If you leave it till the last minute here, it's going to be too much to handle and you won't be able to complete it, just to be honest. Okay, so that's how you get your grades. Again, they're weighted categories, so each one makes up a certain percentage within its own category. For the N mark, if you don't turn in anything in the first 3 weeks, you're at risk of getting an N mark. I'll be sure to contact you before I submit anything. For late work, I don't take anything late. It is a college course. Please plan accordingly. All the dates are in Desire to Learn. Everything's there. If there's some sort of emergency, contact me ahead of time if possible. If it's like a serious emergency and you couldn't, I understand and I'll work with you, but generally nothing is taken late because when we have projects, I go over solutions in class. So for the projects 1, 2, 3, and 4, they'll be due at 6 p.m. because the day it's due, the first thing we're going to do in class is I'm going to go over a solution to it. Excuse me, because there's always lots of different ways to solve a problem. There's not just one way to solve a problem. So I'll show you my approach, and it might be different than yours, and as long as they get the job done, that's great. You'll get the points for it. But you might think of, or maybe I've thought of something different than you did, and something for my approach might make sense for you. Excuse me. Super dry in the winter. Wonder if they humidify the air. All right, some student policies, support information for FERPA, your privacy rights, anything grade-wise, I'm going to tell you, go look at Desire to Learn, because I assume you have the login for that, and only you do. I don't tell anyone else your information or your grades, that sort of thing. You're the only one who's allowed to see it, and I'm assuming you're the only one with your login. For the Americans with Disabilities Act, please contact the Access Office, have them send me the paperwork. I'll be happy to work with you for any sort of accommodations. That being said, most often, I think nothing generally applies given this format. Classes are already recorded, and you can watch the recordings on YouTube, so that's available to you. I don't have anyone who does notes, really, because there's not a lot of notes that you can copy off of, but you can just go watch the recording again yourself if you need additional notes or anything like that. And then often people need like a distraction-free test environment and additional time on tests for timed exams. None of our quizzes or exams are timed. They are open all week long. So generally, I find that this stuff doesn't apply. But if there's anything I can do for you, please reach out and let me know after I have your paperwork from Access. Happy to work with you, do what I can to help you be successful. All right, the Academic Support Center, one of my favorite departments here at OCC, and one of the reasons I love OCC so much is this entire department is dedicated towards student success and helping you be successful. If you are new to college or need to brush up on some college study skills, they offer seminars throughout the semester, which are fantastic. This really is important. I had somebody last semester, they were fresh out of high school, given a pandemic year for their senior year, which sounds terrible, and they were not very successful at planning ahead and getting things in on time and keeping up to date. given the format of the course, right? I'm going to do the things I do. I'm going to post stuff in D2L, and it's up to you to plan it, schedule it yourself, get it done. We meet once a week instead of 5 times a week like in high school, and it's up to you to plan your schedule. So check out their seminars. It's awesome. And then additionally, we have no additional charge tutoring. Free is the wrong word here. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it's already paid for through your tuition and tax dollars. So I won't call it free. But we have 2 amazing tutors who tutor for CIS courses here. So you can take a look at their schedule with that link in the syllabus. Miss Rika and Mr. Tim both tutor for 2454, which is fantastic. They tutor for all the classes I teach. I love them both dearly. They're amazing. So you can schedule individual one-on-one appointments for 1-hour blocks with our amazing tutors to get a little additional help, some chance for someone else to kind of explain some topics to you, help you practice things, that sort of stuff there. So they are awesome. You can book appointments with them at no additional charge through our Academic Support Center, ORTC, I guess, sure, or this phone number if you'd like. So check them out. Highly recommend them. Oh, that's right. We were using this version, the Word doc. In terms of D2L, there is a D2L help desk if there are technical issues with the website. Just the website itself, content is all me. So anything that's on the website is me. If it's not loading, talk to them about it. But anything an assignment-wise is all me. So let me know what I can do to help. Got some accessibility standards, your technical skills. We're assuming you can navigate the web. You can use D2L. You have basic word processing and presentation creation. You don't actually need to present a PowerPoint slide or anything. When we present our final projects, you're just showing us that the application works. And then basic file management and attachment skills. We don't attach anything because D2L is not made for code. A tool like GitHub is made for code. So all of our code will go in GitHub, which I'll show you in a little bit. Some more accessibility stuff. Our technology appropriate use regulations. Don't do stupid things with college resources. If you do stupid things with college resources, you might lose access to those college resources. And it's really hard to complete a computer class if you're not allowed to log into D2L or use the college computers. So please don't do dumb things. You agree to this basically anytime you log in anywhere, but no one ever reads it. So just don't be dumb. In terms of netiquette, I am super informal. I don't really care about any of this. My only ask is please don't shout. Please don't use all caps. Okay, that's the internet equivalent of shouting. Other than that, go for it. I'm informal. I don't mind. You can call me Eric. It doesn't need to be Professor Charneski. That's just too many syllables. No one wants to have to say that every time anyway. But it is good habit to get into, at least to make sure you're professional in your communications. That is something we look for in the industry. So, but I'm not going to give you points for it or mark you down if you don't. So I'm open to whatever here. As long as you're not shouting at me, I'm happy. We should be good. Take the professional communications course. You can learn all about that sort of thing. We just don't have the time, and I don't have the energy or the effort to try and give points for this sort of thing when I care if you can code or not. For public safety, we're not on campus, so it shouldn't matter much. But if you are experiencing any online harassment, I'm happy to get them involved. They are fully badged police officers, able to enforce the laws, that sort of thing. So again, we're not on campus. Most of this doesn't matter, but happy to help if there's anything they can do. All right, as for me, generally I'll have stuff graded within a week of the due date. Not the date you turn it in, but the date the assignment was due, within a week. I'm generally pretty good at this for the first half of the semester, and then things start to slow down a little bit, but I'll let you know. I'm doing what I can to keep up on this. So if you've ever read any of the reviews, everyone says I take forever to grade stuff. Yes, I apologize for that. I'm working on getting better, but generally within about a week, as long as things are going well. And then for communications, 24 hours or less. Everything goes to my phone. Like any good millennial, I'm addicted to my phone. It's always on me, unless my son is watching YouTube videos on it. And if he is, he knows how to swipe away notifications. So if you message me and he swipes the notification away, I might not see it. So if you haven't heard back from me, please feel free and just contact me again and say, hey, I haven't heard back from you. It's never going to bother me. If I haven't responded soon enough, let me know. That being said, I have classes and other things going on, so it might not always be within an hour, but definitely within 24 hours or less, I'm going to get back to you. Excuse me. And that's not just email. That's find me on Discord, text me, call me, that sort of thing. Email is always great too. whatever you prefer. All right, and then our tentative schedule, and I do say tentative because if we need to change it, we will, but this is the planned schedule for the course. So again, the first half we're in PHP land, the second half over to JSP Java. The midterm is a little bit early because I wanted to have it before the midwinter recess so that you don't have to worry about studying for the midterm during midwinter break. That's the goal. So it's week 6, we have midwinter break on week 7, and then we continue on. So it's only over the intro portion of PHP, but it should be fine. I'm not too concerned there. So today we do the course intro and tools overview. I'll show you how to install the tools, the PHP appendix. The Murrock book shows you some very specific ways to install things. The latest and greatest versions is what I do, and the stuff just tends to work anyway. Their book is really good and gives you lots of their examples. My philosophy is you don't want people to read to you, so I'm going to do different examples so that you can see it my way once, you can read it in the textbook, try it with the textbook a second time, and do the labs and projects a third time, so you've done something 3 different ways or seen it, experienced it 3 different ways. Hopefully that helps solidify the concept. So you're welcome to download their example files and follow along with their stuff if you want. It should work in the latest and greatest versions. I had no issues with it last semester. I can't imagine we will this semester. So I'll just show you the latest and greatest versions of everything, and it should work out well. And then from here on out, we pick up at least 1 chapter. Sometimes we double up. Sometimes we're just going a little slow. So chapters 1 and 2 next week of the PHP book, and we'll start project 1. We'll have 2 weeks for project 1. We'll get project 2. That's due the week of the midterm, which is a little bit unfortunate if you got the project and studying for the midterm, but it's not a large midterm, so hopefully there's not a lot of pressure there. And then you've got all week for that midterm anyway, up until midwinter recess. So hopefully you can actually have a midwinter break, take some time off and relax, that sort of thing. We'll have nothing due after the midterm and project 2 are turned in. You can take all of break. So if you do the midterm that night, like in that time slot that you had to do it, great, you're done, don't have to worry about anything for an entire week. You'll have the additional days up until 2/24 to do the midterm. If you want to leave it hanging into break, that's fine. It's totally up to you. You plan your own schedule. We come back and we're going to wrap up PHP. We've got another couple chapters to wrap up with arrays, functions, and objects. We'll pick up project 3 and then finish up with secure websites, basic authentication, and email. Again, it's just a minor notice of email. It's super easy to do. I'll show you how, but I won't actually run it because I don't want to plug any passwords in. And then we switch over to Java land. For chapters 1 and 2, it's the introduction, and we'll show you how to install the tools and run those sorts of things. We'll pick up servlets, and project 4 is the only project we do in JSP, or that has to be JSP. So we do the first 3 in PHP, 4th in JSP, and then the final project you can do in either PHP or JSP, whichever you prefer. So totally up to you. Had a pretty good mix last time. One time I had everybody use PHP except for one person. Last time was a little closer to 50-50. So just whatever you're more comfortable with, more familiar with, totally up to you. Whichever one you want to use is great. And we'll work our way through the JSP book. The last week here is short on DOM, AJAX, and frameworks. I'll spend a little bit of time showing you how AJAX works, how it manipulates the DOM. It's just really an honorable mention to frameworks. We try not to teach frameworks if we can, because we want to teach you the basics so that you understand how things work, so that when you do pick up a framework and learn it, the magic makes sense. Frameworks kind of hide a lot of the manual details you have to do, but if you don't know what all the manual steps are, and the framework doesn't do exactly 100% of what you need it to, it's really hard to make it work when you have to go outside of that, if you don't know the basics. So we try and not use the frameworks to start, and then we'll just do an honorable mention at the end. There's some really easy tutorials for some of the popular ones, and you're going to be amazed at what they can do after we've had to do it all by hand. And then the last night, so in-person is not an option, I forgot, so just Zoom. I missed that one here. So we'll stop doing Twitch because it's your folks' chance to talk, and I can't be giving your names and pictures and images or whatever out online publicly. I can volunteer myself, but not you folks. So we'll meet up on Zoom. You can all take turns screen sharing, and you'll present your final projects, and it should be a lot of fun. It's usually a good night. All right, let me get this updated here then. One more update for that last one. Oh, come on. You see, my laptop's slow. I probably need to get a new one, right? I think you folks agreed, so. And it looks like we are completely full, 25 out of 25, which it was the in-person cap. So hopefully no one's on the wait list. I didn't see anyone waitlisted, because we could technically go up to 30 now that we're a remote class. but the room was capped at 25 for the physical location. All right, so that was the syllabus. So I'm going to leave that here for now. I've been talking for almost an hour, my goodness. I've drank half a Coke. I'm not wired enough yet, not enough jitters. Any questions, thoughts, concerns about the syllabus here? So we're going to take a little break. We'll come back and we'll look at installing all of the tools, and we'll talk about your first lab assignment here. And I want to show you the syllabus quiz real quick. It's essentially free points for you, but part of it is, the most important part is you're acknowledging the course policy on plagiarism and cheating, because that part goes to the dean. If I have to turn people in for academic misconduct, I say, hey, look, Mr. Dean, they agreed to the policy. They said they understood it. That's part of my CYA as I do this, because apparently as part of the process, there is a step in which the sanction, which is you failing the course, can be overturned if I'm wrong. I've been doing this for 10 years now, and I have never had that happen. And I've had to fail someone every single semester, at least one person every single semester. It's kind of depressing, and it makes me a little sad and irritated. And when I get irritated, I get grumpy, then my wife gets grumpy, then I'm grumpy, and it's frustrating. It's a bad cycle. So let's just not cheat. Let's just not do that. We'll be happy. We'll do our own work. We feel good about it. All right, so some syllabus question quizzes. How you can contact me, tools for the class. The campus is open. If you'd like to come to campus, the library and academic sports center labs are open. They're doing some good distancing, so we've got those resources available. There are computers you can check out, I believe, although they're limited. Or we also have ones you can use while you're on campus. I forget the whole thing, but talk to the library and the academic sports center. You can install the tools locally, or you can use the virtual desktops. Any of those options are great. How you want to watch lectures? I don't take attendance, and you're welcome to attend synchronously, ask questions live via chat, or asynchronously, watch the videos on YouTube. Totally up to you, whatever your preference is. I will say, if you start to get behind, it is very difficult to get caught back up. One class, sure, you can usually do one, but if you're behind more than one class, everything is building on itself, and we're using the things from the previous week in the next week, and we have projects every 2 weeks. It's really hard to get caught back up, so please plan accordingly. If you're unsure about something, asking a friend is great. You folks are more than welcome to talk to each other. That's why I have the Discord server set up. My typical rule of thumb is if you're talking about an assignment or some class topic here, you're fine to talk about it. But if you have to start taking notes, we've probably gone too far into that copying realm. So like, oh, hey, yeah, for the project I was doing A, B, and C. You're like, oh, okay, that sounds like a good idea. I could try that. But if you're like, oh, okay, A, and and B, and you start taking notes detailed, you're copying too much. That's my general rule of thumb. Again, I'm monitoring the Discord. I'm usually there watching it, and if I'm seeing you post a bunch of code, be like, hey, please take that to a private message to me, that sort of thing. You can talk to tutors. They're fantastic, Mr. Tim or Ms. Rika. You can ask me either privately or in the class Discord channel, just for general questions about the class and the textbook. Fantastic. If you're not sure about something for an assignment, I have had people do this, and it boggles my mind. They wait until the day it's due and say, oh, I didn't really understand it, and now it's due in 2 hours, so here's the best I could do. Like, you have 2 weeks for every project, so plan accordingly, please. As soon as possible, if you ask me to clarify, you'll be better off and able to get up and running and working, okay? For tutoring sessions, they're optional. This one may be slightly a lie. Our supplemental instruction has been statistically proven to improve your grade in the course. I'm pretty sure tutoring has too, but I can't say that with certainty. And then if you do attend tutoring sessions, I will throw you an extra point on the weekly quizzes. Have Ms. Rika or Mr. Tim shoot me a message saying you attended tutoring. If you can't make it because their schedule is crazy and your schedule is crazy and it just doesn't work, and you want to try and meet with me for office hours instead, I'll do that too. Oh, sorry, I forgot the mute button there. I have the biggest sneezes in the world. It's crazy. Hopefully that wasn't too bad. Again, it's only 1 point, so you're not really missing a lot here. My quizzes, again, only make up 10% total out of all the quizzes we do, so it's a small little bit, but trying to give you an incentive to go to those sessions because it is helpful, especially if things aren't making sense or you need a little bit additional time. It's a fantastic resource at no additional charge. Late work, and then my office hours. Reserve a time. Like, I have these set times, and I block them out for people when you say you want to meet. Other than that, it's first come, first serve. Usually I'm around at my desk, so I'll be real quick to respond because I don't have classes those times. If you just want to talk about something general, technology, right? I always like to geek out and talk about cool things. AI is super interesting. Machine learning, that sort of stuff. That's all things I'm interested in. Or yeah, any of those. All right, question 9. This one's really important. So a typical college course requires 2 hours of work outside the class for every hour spent in the class. For a 4-credit class, and we're lab-based, like we're doing stuff, I'll talk for about 2 hours or so, you'll practice for about 2 hours in class. That's 4 hours a week in class. That means 8 hours a week outside of class, doing stuff, doing the reading, doing our quizzes, doing our labs, doing our projects, doing exams, that sort of thing. So a 4-credit class is a 12-hour-a-week commitment. So I would like you to plan ahead. So put the time in your planner, in your calendar, and say, okay, this is the time I'm going to spend doing my studying. This is the time I'm going to spend working on my projects, working on my assignments. Don't say, oh, I'll get to it when I can and fit it in later. You'll likely be unsuccessful at that. So plan it ahead accordingly. Let me know if you plan to be here synchronously or asynchronously, or mix and match. That's perfectly fine, whatever works for you each week. But just let me know. So if you say, hey, Thursday nights 6 to 10 are my class hours, that's 4 hours. What other 8 hours a week are you going to put in to get this stuff done and be successful? Right? This is a 200 level class. It is harder than the 100 level classes, right? Generally, 100 levels are a little easier, 200 levels are a little harder, and then if you continue on to university, get a bachelor's degree, 303 and 400 level classes get even harder. That's just kind of how things go, because you've built on other stuff you've learned. You've got the broad foundation, and we're going to go deep on a particular topic. And then question 10, my CYA question. You acknowledge you have read and understand the course policy on plagiarism and cheating. Here's a bad copy-paste. The spacing there is a little bit awkward, whatever. You understand the policy. Again, if you're not sure, just ask me. I'm not going to bite your head off, I promise. I kind of come off like a jerk here. I apologize, but generally I'm a nice person. I think we've got a couple folks in the class who've had me before. Just ask them, and they'll tell you what they think. Actually, people have been generally pretty kind to me on Rate My Professor. Usually, I only get the people who are pissed off at me rate me, but a couple folks have taken the time who have enjoyed the class and given me a decent review. So it's a decent sampling, I'll say, of reviews there on Rate My Professor. So, all right, that's the syllabus quiz. So, all right, that's 7:03 now. Been talking for a while, so why don't we take a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back, we'll look at the tools to install, get you up and running, and talk about the very first lab assignment, and then we can go from there, okay? If you got any questions or concerns, let me know. Let this finish out this track. We'll see what else is next. Yeah, you can take the syllabus quiz now. Go for it. You have up until next week. Generally, I make the quizzes due 11:59 p.m. of the next week, so just in case you forget to do it, I have like that next class reminder. Hey, don't forget this quiz is due in a couple hours. Hey, thanks for following along. Appreciate having you here. Yep, so take the syllabus quiz, and we should be good to go. See you folks in about 10 minutes or so. What does that put us out to? 7:13 p.m., right? 7:13 p.m. All right, sounds good. Alrighty, folks. Welcome on back. Yeah, time for a stretch for sure. Oh, definitely. Oh, man. Sorry for yawning. Definitely need a little more Coke here. Let me get the music paused. Look at that. Perfect timing here. That track just ended. Alright, so we're going to talk about installing the tools, and then we'll look at our very first lab. We're not actually going to do any PHP today. Apologies. We're going to save that for next week. But our first lab will help us use the GitHub tool. Okay? So, for the tools again, let's take a look at the syllabus. We got our links here. We need XAMPP and we need NetBeans. So those two will get us up and running to start. Oh, look at that. A couple of you took your time and did the syllabus quiz. Congratulations. Hopefully some free points there. Oh, excuse me. All right, so the XAMPP download and the NetBeans download. You also want the GitHub desktop client. So I guess three downloads. The GitHub desktop client, NetBeans, and XAMPP for now. We'll come back for the OpenJDK later. Okay? So I'm just going to control-click open all these ones here. The GitHub desktop is a real quick download and install. It'll get you up and running. It'll want you to log in, and to log in, it'll send you back to the website. So you'll say log in with github.com. It'll go to the website. The website will say, okay, go back to the GitHub desktop client, and it gets you logged in. Pretty quick process there. And again, we'll have to do this every time on the virtual machines, but I promise it's not terrible. It's pretty quick. For Apache NetBeans, the latest version is 12.6. So you go to download, and generally the installer is the easier one to use rather than the binary zipped version. Both will work, but the installer is generally a little bit friendlier here. We'll actually go and install it. If you have any trouble with it saying it can't find the JDK, let me know. I guess we can then go download the OpenJDK, and we have to point it to it. It's a little bit obnoxious, but it's a one-time step, and it won't be too bad. So if you get that error, then I'll help you with it. If not, then you should be fine. And then as for XAMPP, get the correct version for your operating system. We want the latest and greatest version. So 8.1.1 should be everything we need. On Macland, so there's two versions here in Macland. There is, hang on, where did that go? Why is it doubled here? One was for the newer chip, and one was for the not newer chip, I thought. Where's it going here? More downloads. Used to have a thing about it here. XAMPP for Mac OS. Latest versions, 8.1.1. Huh. 1 and 2. Okay, so it must be 2 might be the later one here. So you should be fine. Maybe they changed that or got rid of the support for the older version. I'm not sure. Yeah, so get the right one for your operating system. It's a one-stop shop install. So again, it does Apache. It does MySQL Server, which is actually MariaDB, but it's essentially MySQL Server. It does PHP, which is really good. So it'll install all of those for you. I have it installed already. Last time I uninstalled it and reinstalled it, it screwed things up. So I'd rather not repeat if you don't mind. But you can go and download those and get them up and running. And then what you get is the XAMPP control panel. The XAMPP control panel, you can then go start all of these services individually. It's pretty cool. So you get Apache, you get MySQL, FileZilla we're not going to use, Mercury we're not going to use, and Tomcat we'll use when we get to Java land. So we'll start with Apache. We won't get to MySQL for a couple weeks, and then we'll do the MySQL server. Now, the one thing is if you've done any Windows development or you use CIS for Windows development, Apache likes to use port 80. My computer already is using port 80 with CIS for the Windows development stuff I do. So it has to be configured to use a different port. So with Apache, you go to config and you say, hey, I want to open up my Apache httpd.conf, my Apache config here. This is the Apache config file. And if you just scroll down just a little bit, not too far here, you'll see listen. This listen section tells it to use a different IP address. So instead of using port 80, I say listen on 5080. There's a whole bunch of things of ports you can use. 5080 should be fine. You should be in pretty good shape. Hydration, thank you so much, Equilibrium. Appreciate it. So I have to change the port number here. And I believe, let me double check here, if I do a find and replace, there's one other place where you've got this. So if you just hit Control F for search or find, and you put in 80, you'll find the location where you have 80, find again, and this, you'll also want to put in your server name, port 5080 for use here. Again, if it works on port 80, you don't get this error message, don't worry about it. You don't need to, but all of my stuff you'll notice is on port 5080. A posture check, thank you. I tend to slouch a little bit here, so appreciate that. I'll try and keep my back a little straighter. It's much better for me. That's the one downside of having a desk job, right? Your posture you just like can start curling over as you hunch over your keyboard. But after that's installed, should be good to go. We should be able to hit start if we need to change the port number, and we'll see the port that it's using here in this little ports list, which is awesome. It does use 443 for secure communication. We'll get to that at the last chapter we talk about. We skip over it for now because it just makes life difficult, but I'll see it started on 5080. It's green, says it's okay. And then if I go to admin, it will launch the page for me in my default browser. Oh shoot, it didn't do the port. So mine just went to localhost, that's the wrong port. So I need localhost colon 5080. I should be able to change that under this config option, like the XAMPP level config. We should be able to change the ports when you go to service and port settings. Go tell it, hey, Apache uses port 5080 and save. That's why. Yeah, it doesn't like to actually save, but then it does save, I think. Yeah, okay, so it will save it once. I don't know. It gets a little confused sometimes with security settings. So if you can get to this page, it says it's installed correctly. You have Apache, you have MariaDB, you have PHP, you have Perl. We've got it here. Oh, I've got the older version. I got to do 8.1.1. So I'll go update, I guess. Might be worth it. You can get to here, you should be good to go. Okay, if this is up and running, we're in good shape. Then we can start doing our PHP stuff. All right, so make sure you can get to this page for our installing the tools. You'll be in good shape for next week. All right, and that's it for installing. And then NetBeans itself as well should be a pretty quick install. If you have trouble with that one, let me know. I'm happy to hop on a screen share. I've got one YouTube video. If you could download the OpenJDK, it's just a zip file. So the virtual desktops all have a folder on the C drive called OpenDev. So on my C drive, I made a folder called OpenDev. Right? So if you go to your C drive, just make a folder called OpenDev, and you'll extract that zip file into this location. So when you download the OpenJDK, you go to, hey, I want to go download this thing in this download link. And then on mine, I need the Windows zip file. It's just a zip file. So once it's done downloading, you don't want to open it itself. You want to open the folder that it's in. I guess we're doing it now anyway. That's okay. We'll open the folder that it's in, not the file itself. And you right-click on the zip file. And you say you want to extract. So right-click and you want to extract all. And it's going to say, where do you want to put it? So browse to that C OpenDev folder. And you can extract it into that folder here. So I'll go to my C drive here and go to OpenDev, and that's where I'll extract. I just select right there, and it's good to extract. I already have it extracted, so I don't need to do that step, but then it'll be ready to go for when NetBeans says, hey, where's the JDK? Okay? All right, once we've got that up and running, we're good for all the tools. Next week, we'll actually get into PHP. The last thing we're going to do is working with GitHub. It feels so virusy, sorry. Installing tools always does. The last thing is the GitHub workflow. So I need to set up a classroom real quick. Because I give it away for educational use, they've got this really cool classroom workflow we're going to use. It's awesome, I promise. Let me get logged in here. And did I make one? I don't think I did yet. No, that was for fall. I'm going to make a new classroom here for us. Come on. All right, so this is CIS 2454. This is winter 2022. Like the classroom. So all this does is let me put assignments together on that localhost URL. So that was when I went to Apache in the XAMPP control panel. You go to config and you have this first option, the Apache httpd.conf or config file here. And you just scroll down a little bit, or you can search for 80. So if you just scroll down, you'll find listen here, and then if you keep scrolling down, you'll find the next one. It's not too far. Here it is, the server name. Localhost 5080. I also just like to search. So if you're up at the top of the file, and you hit Control F, or if you go to Edit and Find, Control F for Find, you can put in 80 and then search for Find Next, and it'll go find it for you. That way there. So Notepad's a little funny. It only searches in the downward direction unless you tell it otherwise. So if you scroll all the way down and get past it, it's not going to find it. So usually you want to scroll up to the top and click in. And I can help you get that set up. If you get stuck on anything, let me know. We can do some screen sharing sessions either on Discord or Zoom or whatever. We get you up and running. So it's important. You just got to get things set up once. It's a little bit of a pain, but then we're up and running. All right, so I'm going to skip that. I'm going to skip this one. We'll make our assignment. So we have Lab 0. So this is CIS 2454. This is Winter 2022. This is Lab 0. Okay, and I need to use our template. So I still use the Java template. There's not like a specific PHP one. Everything is the Java template. It works out pretty well. And then we're going to use these feedback pull requests. So I'll talk you through all this in a second. Excuse me. All right, so here's the link for the assignment. Let me copy that into Desire to Learn. We'll set up that lab. Well, I just logged in. Why do I have to log in again? Oh, because I don't remember my password. Why? Try that again. There we go. Hey, Improv, how you doing today? Or Improver? Improver? Is that 3 and E? All right, so let me come over to assignments. Got an exclamation class here as my little disclaimer. So anything on topic, happy to entertain. Yep, so what you want to install XAMPP is it recommends you install it right on the C drive and not in the program files directory. And it should do that by default. So it should put it C:/XAMPP for the path is where it should recommend it wants to install it. So it'll pop up, hey, UAC is installed. You want to put it here in C XAMPP, and you say yes. C XAMPP. So it shouldn't be C program files XAMPP because the program files directory has its own sort of issues and permissions and stuff. So it should be here. Okay. All right, so for Lab 0. So this is just a practice with the GitHub workflow. There's nothing PHP related for this. So we're going to, and actually, let me just copy paste this here because I'm, like any good programmer, I'm lazy. And I mean that in the best sort of the sense. I'm efficiently lazy. Don't want to do more work than I need to. So I'm going to give it a quick copy paste from the other class where we do this exact same lab. Because it's got some directions here and it works out kind of nice. Let me try and get this one here. So go edit. There's all my directions. There we go. All right. Awesome. Nope. And we're just repository, create new text file in the folder. All right, so I'm going to follow this link, and it's going to say, hey, do you want to accept the assignment? CIS 2454, Winter 2022, Lab 0. You say, yes, we want to accept this assignment. And it says, okay, great, we're going to make a repository for you. So the workflow here with GitHub Classroom gives everyone an individual repository for each assignment. And it's nice because it makes it a private repository that you have access to and I have access to. If we both have access, we're the only ones who can see it. I can give you scores for it and grade it, and life is good. No one else will be able to see it. It says it takes a few minutes. It takes like 5 seconds or less. By the time you're done talking, you just hit F5 to refresh or go click the refresh button, and now you've got a link. So it'll take you to this repository here. This is your repository. So Oakland Community College, the CIS 2454, Winter 2022, Lab 0 - your username. So mine's Eric Chinesky because that's my GitHub username. Whatever username you used when you created your github.com account will show up here. I don't take attendance at all, Dong. So you are welcome to come or not come, welcome to watch the recordings or not watch the recordings. You are scored based on the things that you do in class. For the final project, you must present the final project. That's the only time you have to show up. So all the other lectures, come and go as you may. Okay, so this is a repository. A repository is nothing more than a folder that Git tracks. Git is a source control tool made by our friend Linus Torvald, the founder of Linux. When he was working on that, I believe he was working on Linux at the time, he did not like the currently available source control tools out there, so he said he could do better, and he sure did. So Git is now the most widely used source control tool in the industry. It is fantastic. It's really good at what it does, which is tracking source code. So GitHub is a hosting provider of the Git source control tool. They give us a cloud-based service that we can synchronize with. So the cloud out here will keep a copy if we stay in sync with it. So it's not automatic like a Google Doc where as you type it saves changes to the cloud. It takes some additional steps, and that's okay. It won't be too bad, I promise. We'll get there, okay? So once we have a repository page, you click this big old green code button and you say open with GitHub Desktop. If you don't have it downloaded yet, it'll say, hey, go download it. If you do, it's going to open it. Or ask if it's okay to open it. You say, yes, please open it. And we'll come up to this page that says, hey, do you want to clone a repository? A clone means you have a copy of that repository. Git is a distributed source control tool so that anybody and everybody who has a copy has all of everything. The assignment says untitled. Oh, did I forget to save it? Yep, sorry about that. This is for Lab 0. Sorry about that. And due next week, 6 p.m. Thank you. I didn't actually finish it here. I'm sorry. And then this is 10 points. Again, points only matter in the lab category. Excuse me, for labs. There we go. I'm sorry, yeah, let me save and close that. Okay, now it should be there for you. I'm sorry about that. So now you should have Lab 0. Thank you for the reminder there, KB. Okay, so we're going to say, yes, I want to clone this repository. So this is the website. This is the central cloud repository. We're going to make a copy of that folder here on our local computer. Now, it likes to default to your user's documents GitHub folder. If you don't like that, go ahead and change it. I don't care. You put it anywhere you want it. I like defaults because they're easy. So it's going to make a folder named CIS 2454 Winter 2022 Lab 0-Eric Janeski inside of C users Eric C documents GitHub. It's just a folder. All Git is a fancy file watcher inside a folder. I'm going to say clone. So it'll give me a copy of everything that existed in the repository. Everything that was out there was a .github folder. This is where all the GitHub workflow magic happens. Leave it alone. There's a .gitignore file. This tells Git to not add certain files to the source control tool. The general rule of thumb is anything that you can build or create or compile, like Java class files, don't need to go into source control because you only need the source code used to create them. So it helps keep a little bit of churn and a little bit of noise out of source control because every time you recompile your program, your class file is going to change. So we don't need to add it to source control. We know it's going to change. And then this README file is just a markdown file. It says Java template. I'm too lazy to change it. My apologies. That's fine. We can just leave it alone. Some people have really fancy READMEs, like the .NET. What is it? Oh my goodness, .NET. Yeah, .NET, the core library here. So Microsoft has open sourced most of .NET. The core library here, you can go out and see GitHub, has a nice little README with all sorts of notes and things about it here. This is a pretty README page, right? We don't need to bother with a pretty README page, but you can. So GitHub, if there's a README file, will show you the pretty version of it here. It's just Markdown, MD for Markdown. It's just a way of formatting things to make it look kind of pretty. So that's out there for you, okay? Not this one here. Yep, Web Systems. So we click the link to create the repository. We clone the repository here. So it's cloning. All that means is now I have a folder. So two really helpful shortcuts here. The repository menu in the GitHub client, you have View on GitHub and Show in Explorer. View on GitHub will launch the browser back out to your repository page. Now, as a note here, I'm going to change the URL, but if you get this 404 not found, you're probably not logged in because what it makes is private repositories that only you have access to when you're logged in and only I have access to when we're logged in. So go to the top right here, make sure you're logged in if you're getting that message. Otherwise, it should bring up a repository and you're in good shape. So it just gives you a nice little web-based view of everything that's inside of it. Okay? So we'll clone the repository. Now we're going to make a new text file inside that folder. Well, to get to the folder, you can either go browse, go to your documents folder, go to GitHub, go here, or go to repository and say Show in Explorer. The Show in Explorer is our shortcut here to open up File Explorer right to this location. Again, we see the exact same stuff. We see GitHub, we see gitignore, we see the README. There's also a hidden .git folder. Don't touch that one either, please. That is where all the Git magic happens. Just let it be. If you don't see that, your view options probably don't have the file name extensions and hidden items checked. This is Windows 11. The Windows 10 looks a little bit different for that, looking at those properties, but essentially the same thing here. File name extensions and hidden items are generally nice to have here when you're a developer. Okay, so all we're going to do is make a new text file. So I'm going to right-click. I'm going to say New Text File or Text Document here. We're going to put a new file in this folder. We'll call it like Lab 0 or something. And then we'll open it up. Inside of that file, put your name, your preferred pronouns, your major, any previous programming experience you have, reason for taking the class, and any fun facts or things you want me to know about you. Okay, not too bad. So Eric Charneski, I prefer he and him. My major, mine is a Doctor of Engineering in Automotive Systems and Mobility. Excuse me. Any previous programming experience? I have 15 years. I'll be 16 this year, believe it or not. I just upgraded on Wednesday to try and fix my computer. Zoom broke it on Monday, and it's been fine so far. I haven't really noticed anything different about it. The only thing really is that the taskbar is centered, which is a little bit annoying, and actually File Explorer is slower than in Windows 10, so I'm a little sad about that. I haven't really noticed any other differences, but sure. All right, so 15 years experience with C#, C++, Visual Basic, Java, PHP, Python, ASP.NET, PowerShell, probably some other ones I'm missing, but that's okay. Yeah, I saw the option to change it. I'm trying hard to not be that old curmudgeon-y guy who's like, oh, change bad, it must stay exactly the same. So it's not bothered me so much to be in the middle. And sure, if they want to copy off of Mac or Mac OS, go for it. I mean, Microsoft is kind of the king of copying people, so why not have it in the middle here? Doesn't hurt anything, I guess. I actually used to have it on the side a while ago when I had, because I've got a decently wide screen here, and like have it docked on the side was kind of fun. But I'm just giving it a try down here at the bottom. We'll see. If they move the menu to like auto hide like Macs and only one application gets a menu at a time, then I'm going to scream, because that drives me nuts about Macs. Yeah, no, there is an option to change it. You can change your taskbar settings and tell it where you want it to put it, but they're defaulting to their new view, which is, sure, that's fine. Where is it? There's like the location of the taskbar or something. I forget where it is. I already turned, oh yeah, behaviors maybe? Corner, I don't know. It's somewhere in here, whatever. I looked at it once. So 15 years experience. Reason for taking the class. I'm taking the class because I'm the instructor. I kind of have to be here. And fun facts, I play D&D with my friends and kids. I have 6 kids currently. I even have a D&D tattoo, or D&D and Kingdom Hearts tattoo. Now, I mean, so Windows Auto Update is actually super important because for the longest time it was not required, and that's how we have these massive botnets that do all sorts of nasty things, because there are still Windows XP machines out there that are vulnerable to things that have been fixed for a decade already, and because people never patched, we have these really scary looking botnets of all sorts of nastiness that go around. So I'm actually on board with the auto update. I think it's a good security safety thing. It can be a little annoying, but and maybe they could do better with some of their features auto updating, but security wise auto updates are definitely the way to go. So I got into D&D as a young kid, and then my brother's 7 years older than I am and never let me play with him because I was an annoying little brother. And then I never really had a chance to play with my friends or anything, but kind of always was interested in it. I like the fantasy genre, that sort of thing. So back when the pandemic started, we connected with a friend of mine who could run a campaign for us. He was our dungeon master. 3 of my kids played, another buddy of mine to have another adult at the table. Or a Zoom table. We started playing a weekly game that kind of petered off as he got a new job and got busy. So I started 2 campaigns where I'm the dungeon master and having all sorts of fun. We meet monthly. with some friends of my kids. It's a good time. So for configuring Apache, if you need to change the port number, they're usually out of the box. You don't need to do anything. You can just hit start and it goes. If it yells at you and says something about, hey, port 80 here, where is it even? I don't remember. Yeah, port 80 in use or something, can't do it. Then we can go to config and go to the Apache httpd conf file and go scroll down a little bit and change the port number, listen from 80 to something else, like 5080. It's generally open. If that one's not, I mean, there's nearly unlimited port numbers you can use. You just need to know what port you're on. And then you also want to change it one other location in the general XAMPP config under service and port settings. Tell it to use port 5080. It'll say it doesn't work, but then it does work. It's the weirdest thing, or it works one time. I don't know. It's a little bit funky, but generally it works okay. All right, and if you have any trouble with it, let me know. I can definitely hop on a screen sharing session with you. All right, so all we're doing is a text file here with this information in it. Nothing with PHP. All it is some text here. When we're done, we're going to use the GitHub desktop client to commit your file. There we go, and push the changes to the GitHub cloud. We're going to submit the URL to the feedback pull request. So back in GitHub now, once I've saved my file, GitHub should say, hey, there's a new thing. So not even in the app, you go to repository, show an explorer to open up the folder that is the repository on your computer. We're going to put a new file in here. Just right click, say new text document. You want a new text document. We're just adding a new file here, just a text file. Now Git, anytime a file changes inside of the repository, it notices. So Git does this thing which is a series of commits. A commit is just a snapshot. It says, hey, at this point in time, this is what was inside of the folder, and this is what the files look like. This is the contents of the files, and it will track that. So if something changes, it shows you the difference between the last commit and the current changes. So right now it says, hey, this is a new file. Notice it shows up in green, a green plus for new file, and 5 new lines. These are new lines that showed up in this file. Great. So it found my file because I put it in the repository. I can go ahead and give it a message. When you make a commit, the summary box, the small box here, is required. So you have to give it some sort of message. Different organizations have different rules and policies, about what should go in here. I'm not too particular, really put anything you want, but generally you want it to be something meaningful. So I'm going to say like lab 0, and I'll say commit. Once I have the commit, it takes that snapshot. It saved that point in time of that folder locally on my computer. The cloud doesn't have it yet. So now I need to take my local commit and push it to github.com, push it out to the origin, to the cloud repository, the central repository. So the idea is that they push and pull system with Git. You have a central location, you push changes to the central location, and you pull changes from the central location. It's made for multiple people to collaborate. When it's just you working, it's pretty much just you pushing, which is fine. That's not a problem at all. When we get to the final project, if you're open to working with a partner, you can then coordinate with them and do the push and pull process. We'll talk more about it when we get there. Usually I would require people to do it, but I get we're in the middle of a global pandemic, so if partnering up with somebody's not your thing, forget it. You don't have to. If it does seem like your kind of thing, let's go for it. We can find a partner. Okay, so I'll push to origin, and that will synchronize my local repository with the repository on github.com in the cloud. Now, if you're not sure if it made it, our next favorite shortcut here is this repository. How did you open the file as a folder? So after you've cloned the repository, you just go to repository, show an explorer. We'll open up the folder on your computer, and then you can just right click and say, hey, you want a new text document. Okay. Once you've committed and pushed, if you want to check to make sure it's in the github.com cloud, go to repository and view on GitHub. It'll launch out the web browser again right to your repository. You can browse anything in here, right? You can browse folders and files. So if you just click on the name of the file, it's a link, it will show you what's in it. And says, oh, hey, here's the contents of that file, lines 1 through 5, right? Line number 1, line number 2, line number 3, 4, and 5. What's really cool about github.com is those line numbers, you can click on them and they become a link. So this URL here will take you right to line 4 of this file. This is not all that interesting, but if you're having problems with your PHP code or your JSP code, you can go right to that line number, give me a URL and say, hey, Eric, I'm having trouble right here, something's happening, and I can go right to your code online. You don't have to send attachments, you don't have to take screenshots. Some people will take pictures with their phone of their screen, which is really hard to see. So like GitHub is made for code. we're going to use it to manage our code and store our code. It's awesome. The collaboration is a bit of a stretch, but it's you and I collaborating essentially. So you're putting the code out there and I can see it. So I'm collaborating by viewing it and I can help you troubleshoot it, that sort of thing. Works out pretty well. So once you see it out here, you're in good shape. If I wanted to now, I could go back in here and add more stuff. I could say, oh, hey, other fun facts about me. I have 3 cats. My daughter has a bunny. What is it? A lion head, bunny. My son has a bearded dragon. My other daughter has guppies. Is that all the pets? Fish, cats, a bunny, bearded dragon. I think that's all the pets. And if I save that, now the GitHub client will say, hey, this file's been changed. Orange is for changed, or the little dots for changed. And it says, on the left here are old line numbers, on the right are new line numbers. It says, hey, there's a new line 5 right here. Remember, Git will track changes to files at the line level. It's really good at saying, oh, it's not the entire file that's different, it's just this one line, which works out really well when it's dealing with code. And it helps keep things trackable, really. So you can kind of see the history of how things have evolved. It's really cool. So I'll commit that and I'll say, talking about my pets and kids' pets. I feel like I'm missing a pet. My other daughter used to have a bunny, but it died. It was really sad. She was a sweet bunny. I'm trying to think, that must be all of them. So then I'll go back out to the website and I can just hit refresh. And the latest and greatest version now has everything in it. So this GitHub cloud repository, the central repository in the cloud, will always have the latest and greatest if you commit and push. Yeah, bunnies, they don't live super long, which is kind of depressing. They're super sweet, but don't have the longest lifespans. My oldest cat is 15, and he's looking a little rough. He's got some arthritis in his hips or legs, so he's definitely slowing down, but he's still spunky. We got 2 kittens. They'll be a year old in a month and a day. They were born on Valentine's Day, after the other older cat had passed last year. So the kids were pretty excited to have some kittens. They were really sad about the other cat, but so I've got 1 old cat, 2 kittens, and they're still a lot of fun. They'll like to come and sit on my lap sometimes when I'm teaching. So I'll show you Merlin and Moxie, and sometimes Ian will come, the old guy. He'll come sit in my lap, and they'll wave at the camera. So Moxie used to get up on my shoulders, which was a little bit painful with her tiny little claws, but most of the time now she just goes like above my desk. I have a little loft bed as a desk. In the room I took over in my house for my home office. It's lots of fun. So I'll show you all about them when we get there. Sorry, my sugar's beeping at me here. It's still too high. An 844 number. That's probably not any of you folks. Won't need to worry about that one. Actually, give me just 1 second. Sorry, just a moment. All right, sorry about that. My dishwasher broke, and with 6 kids at home, we go through a lot of dishes. So they were confirming my appointment tomorrow. I want to make sure I didn't have to push any other buttons. In Feral, yeah, you can use any operating system. NetBeans should work on all of them. XAMPP works on all of them. Shouldn't have any issues there. If you do have trouble, let me know. But we also have the virtual desktop just in case too. So, all right, so I've got my code. It looks good here. The last step here, and this is part of the workflow here is, oh, sorry, I zoomed in too much there. We're going to go to this pull requests tab. So you click on pull requests. The GitHub Classroom workflow automatically opens up a feedback pull request. It's not going to make a lot of sense. That's okay. But pull requests are part of the software engineering process. It's like the last chance to do some sort of peer review, code review, sort of looking at code before it officially makes it into the release or into your wherever it's going here. go take the software engineering class with Mr. Haiti. He'll tell you all about it. It's a fantastic process. We're just going to take advantage of it because what the really cool thing it does, I can go to this Files Changed tab, and I can see all of the files you created here in this repository. Now, not only can I do that, but I get this little blue plus button here. So at any given line in any given file, I can come in here and I can leave a note and say, I love cats. I mean, hopefully something more meaningful. And it will track that conversation inside of the github.com workflow for that pull request. So if you're reviewing someone's code, you can leave notes. If I'm looking through and like, hey, you know, this didn't work very well, or you're having problems here, when I'm evaluating things, I don't need to keep a separate document. I don't need to do any sort of weird annotations on files in D2L that are uploaded. Everything works in the enterprise or industry usable tool that people actually use. So we're going to get used to this sort of thing. Now, I'm not going to leave notes on everything. If it looks great, great. You know, it looks great. If there's things that I think you could tweak, I'll let you know. That sort of thing. So, like, just because I didn't say anything, please don't take that as a bad thing. And just because I do tell you a bunch of things, that's also not a bad thing. It's supposed to be constructive feedback, okay? That's the idea. So what you're going to turn in then for Lab 0 is you're going to come up to the top here to this URL where you're looking at your files. It'll be github.com/occ/CIS2454-winter2022-lab0- your username here /pull/1/files. Blur. All right, anyway, grab that entire URL and you're going to copy paste that in when you submit. And that's it. So in D2L, it'll ask you to submit and then give you a little text box. That's what you paste in here. You submit the URL to the feedback pull request. And that's what you turn in. That's it for the lab. Yeah, there's no rubric. This is just you did it or you didn't do it. I'm just going to do 10 points per lab because it makes the points easy. I guess I could do 1 point per lab. It probably doesn't matter. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do 1 point per lab. Why not? Each lab, because I think we'll have about 10 labs by the time we're done, and that should work out pretty nice, okay? So if you have any questions, thoughts, or concerns, let me know. Happy to hop on some screen sharing for you. Again, this video, or the stream here, is going to get exported out to YouTube. It only lives on Twitch for about 45 days. We'll do it on YouTube for your review. I'll post a link here in D2L once the export is done. It takes a couple minutes for it to get out there, but I'll have a lecture archive section here where I'm going to put that, and I'll put all the links out here as well, and we can go from there. All right, any other thoughts, questions, or concerns? If not, I think that does it for tonight. Take the rest of the time, go make sure you get the books, go download the tools, get things installed, work on Lab 0. Let's get a little bit familiar with this GitHub workflow, because every project, every lab, every assignment is going to be done in GitHub. We're going to use a source control tool to track our source code, because that's what we do. Okay. All right, 1 Coke down. That's actually 2 because I got one at Arby's. 2 Cokes down, pot and a hat of coffee. Kind of jittery, not too jittery here, so not doing too bad. Let's see. I'll throw out the not so jittery emote here. Just the regular coffee one. Still doing all right. Coffee all the time. Okay. If you don't have any other thoughts, questions, or concerns, we can call it a night. Let me put on my little ending screen here, and we can see if there's anyone around. Oh, for sure, Marv. Yeah, just shoot me a message. So, so the reserved time is 6 to 9:45 p.m. for the course. It's a lab-based course, so typically I'll spend the first about half of it, about till 8 or so, showing you stuff. And then the rest of that time would be us working here inside the lab, but we're not meeting here in person. So we'll have that time. You can work on the lab assignment, you can work on the projects, and then we can do screen sharing sessions on Discord or on Zoom or anything. Just shoot me a message and I'll put you in the queue and we can go from there. Yeah, for sure. I can meet up with anybody after class, after I'm done streaming here. No big deal. Just shoot me a message in Discord. Yeah, KB, we can do that too. So to push the document, when there's a change, you need to make a commit. So if there's something inside the repository that changed, so we go here like this lab 0, I'm going to say, hey, another line or something, and save it. Then the GitHub client will say, hey, there's something new here. You can make a commit. That takes that snapshot, that point in time. Sorry, one more line. Commit makes the snapshot, and then GitHub says, hey, you have one commit that needs to be pushed to GitHub. So your local repository, your copy has something that the central repository, the cloud, doesn't have. Go ahead and push to origin, push to the cloud. And we'll say push. And then it will show up on github.com. Right? And then you can click repository, view on GitHub. And then when you actually look at that file here, you can use the little browser here, click the file to open it, and look at it. You'll see, hey, here's that another line showed up. And you can see all the contents of it. And then you go to the pull requests tab, you'll go to the feedback tab. You can make sure you see it one last time and this file's changed. Make sure it has everything you need. Again, this one's easy, but when you get to your projects, sometimes you'll commit but forget to push or that sort of thing. Make sure it has everything you're looking for, and you're just going to copy paste that URL in for me. Yep, no problem. Yeah, Mark, we can chat after, okay? So I think we're good here. Let's try that ending one more time, and we can go from there. All right. And yeah, sounds good. So the the first link that you'll need here, let me go back to my screen. I guess I should just stay on the screen. When you go to assignments, here you should see the Lab 0 assignment. You click on Lab 0, you should be the first link here. A classroom.github.com link / some nonsense. Yep, this first link, classroom.github.com / yada yada yada. Go for that one, okay? That'll get you started, and then the rest of follow directions will take you through all the things you need to do. Okay. Awesome. And I didn't make any changes. I don't know why you're asking me. That's fine. Cool. So we've got Lab 0. We've got the syllabus quiz to take care of. We got installing the tools. Let me know if you're running any issues. Happy to hop on screen sharing sessions with you. Next week, we'll want the tools, so we'll be up and running. We can actually start doing PHP. Okay? And then we'll have some fun from there. All right, folks, hit me up on Discord if you got anything else. I'll go ahead and stop streaming, and you folks take care.